did too, Jerry, even though you're going to be mad a little bit. But I have a new friend of mine who called my show. What was it? It was earlier in the week. And I actually called him back, and he's a very interesting guy. He ran for Congress as a Republican. And I believe it was during my Joe Severino interview. And that's what prompted the call, and I got to talk to him. And the status of the Illinois Republican Party may even be worse than I anticipated. My new friend, his name is Max Rice. Max, how are you?
Well, thank you so much, son. Great to be on the show.
Well, I appreciate it. And after we started to talk, I went to your website, which is called IllinoisRecord.com, right?
IllinoisRecord.com. Subscribe today.
IllinoisRecord.com. And you have a plethora of articles from a very, I like the style in which you write and investigate. You're exposing a lot of behind the scenes, which people need to know, because the reason that the Republicans or so-called the people who think themselves to be Republicans, the reason that they're in a rigged game is kind of because of what you reveal on a regular basis in your articles, isn't it?
I agree. And when there's no consequences for bad behavior, it gets worse. And I just kind of noticed throughout the years that there was a lot of bad behavior that would go unchecked or get a slap on the wrist. And so I'm pretty happy about what we've been able to not just uncover, but just put out there, be on the record forever.
Well, I'm happy that you've been able to right these wrongs, and you're going to continue to do it for as long as you're here. But you didn't know it was this bad, and you decided to run, right? Tell us a little bit about your story.
It was this bad at the time. Because even when I was running, I was saying that Republicans were pedophiles and that Democrats are criminals. Was my platform. So I wouldn't say I didn't know it was this bad, but you kind of think that like it's maybe a 50-50 split between corruption and people with good intent, when really the number is probably closer to like 90 to 95% just evil scum of the earth. Terrible human beings working under some sort of outside interest.
Well, there has to be a reason it's this hopeless, right? I mean, there has to be. And then, I remember years ago discovering through different after evening events, watching the interactions between well-known short-in-the-pants Democrat mafia members and the ass-kissers who back then were Republicans, let alone what it's become now. It even appears to be sicker. And you know what was a tip to me? I have a very good, he became my very good friend. I didn't know him much. I was asked to fill in for him at an event we had. It's an event we have every year where we have different speakers come in and we celebrate the freedom and opportunity in Illinois or in the country. It's a wonderful event. And my friend Gary Rabine bought a room. Well, at the same time that happened, his wife had gotten very ill, and I did not know him. And he asked me to fill in on his room. So I did. And in me doing that, I had the pleasure of meeting him soon after, and we became very good friends. And when he was running for governor, he's like, well, I want to get their advice. So he hired some guys who I don't like at all. But he wanted to win. He wanted to.
Oh, you're talking about Pat Brady. I'm sorry.
No, yes, I'm talking about Pat Brady. But you know what's funny about Gary's a legit best guy I know when it comes to honesty and trying to change things, not for himself, but for the people. And I think that's something that happens with guys who didn't think they were going to ever go into politics, whether it's him or Severino or you. And I think once you try it, and you might be optimistic and think, okay, everybody wants what I want. They want better for the average guy, the honest guy. And you realize when you get to this echelon that is kind of in charge of the body politic, they don't give a rip about the average guy, do they?
Oh, no, I agree, Mark. Because Gary's a perfect example, and he's with you in Florida now, is because what happens is a lot of people who are successful think that everything's bad, but their skills are transferable. Even President Trump, and I think we're seeing him doing a much better job in the second term of realizing how bad these people are. And people like Gary, they see as a mark of that we can extract a bunch
Isn't that the truth?
On ads. And that event you were at, like I'm sure he put six figures into his campaign, including into a software that I talk about on my website pretty common called Cirrus, which has really captured a lot of the GOP clubs. Gary Rabine put a lot of money into them, and he even accuses them of giving his data away the second that he moved out from them.
Well, he's so optimistic. And he feels, this is the problem with good people. My mother had this quality. My uncles had this quality. My grandparents had this quality. You think that because you might agree with